What up, dude bros? I'm Frank. This is a video review of the Adventure Force Spectrum. This blaster is a flywheel-powered semi-auto mag-fed blaster that is compatible with Nerf In-Strike magazines. Has the Stryfe finally been dethroned? Let's get into the review. Included is the blaster, magazine, scope, stock, front grip, darts, and the instructions. This blaster requires 6 AA batteries. External overview of the Spectrum. Starting up at the front, there is no In-Strike barrel lug. This is not a Nerf brand blaster. Up top, we have a Tactical rail. This is a Picatinny style rail, and it includes this scope, which can be removed very easily like that. And this rail will accept Nerf attachments. It's obvious it's not designed for the Nerf attachment, but it slides on and it actually stays in place. And down below, we have an adjustable vertical grip. It's in the down position, but if you push this orange button here, you can lift it up like that. And if you push the other orange button, you can actually slide the whole thing off the blaster, revealing another Tactical rail. It's pretty firmly attached to the rail, but there's a little bit of wobble in the handle itself. It wobbles, but it's not going to lose its place. But if you want to put it up, you'd push that button again. And moving back, we have an access door right here. You can just flick that open to get your finger in there to clear out any jams or malfunctions. I did not experience any jams and malfunctions with this blaster. Now down to the magazine well. To remove the magazine, you strike the very large magazine release like that, and the magazine slides out. The included magazine holds 10 Nerf darts. However, the magazine well is compatible with Nerf In-Strike magazines. Woo! Finally, Dart Zone, thank you! The Nerf magazines slide in very well. There's very little compromise. It seems to be a cross-compatible mag well. However, if you're using a magazine with one of these lumps, a lot of the 18-round magazines have these, and some of the old mags too. It is compatible, it does seat, it does feed just fine, but when you go to reload, this paddle strikes into the little hump right there, making the reload a little cumbersome. You can wiggle the magazine out and it technically works, but it's not very smooth, so I'd recommend you use the magazines without these little lumps if you're going to use the Spectrum. But again, the included magazine holds 10 darts, and this can go into your Stryfe or your Nerf brand blaster. They're cross-compatible. Moving on, over here we have the battery door. To get in there, you remove the single screw. This blaster requires 6 AA batteries. Down to the trigger, this blaster is a semi-auto mechanically operated trigger system, just like the Stryfe. And the trigger pull is very smooth and very crisp. How these darts are launched into the flywheels is just excellent, very consistent and very precise. So the trigger pull feels incredible. They don't have the dart locks like in the Nerf Stryfe. It feels like a modified blaster out of the box, which is a good thing. And below the primary trigger is the rev trigger right here. As you can see, this is a gigantic rev trigger. It actually takes up 2 of my fingers when I'm holding this blaster. At first, I really hated this rev trigger because it was too big and my ring finger kept activating the rev trigger by accident. But after I shot off a few hundred rounds and got more and more acclimated to it, it makes sense now. It's not really my favorite, but it allows you to get more flexible with your grip. You don't have to ride your middle finger all the way up into this crevice here. So if you like to use weird grips, especially if you're shooting around a corner or something, it's more flexible. It's a bigger target for your finger. So it's not going to be for everyone, but I don't think it's objectively bad. It's a different option compared to the Stryfe. Now down to the grip. This is a phenomenal grip. It'll work well for younger Nerfers or giants like me. The length of pull is slightly longer than the Stryfe, so if you have big hands, I think this will be more comfortable for you than shooting the Stryfe. Yet it's not too extended to alienate a younger hand. I think this is a phenomenal grip. It's very comfortable, and I'd like to see more grips like this. The rev trigger is still not my favorite, but the grip kind of makes up for it. And moving up, we have an adjustable and removable stock. So you press this orange button under here to remove the stock. It attaches sort of like a Nerf stock, but this lug is not compatible with your Nerf stocks. But it's also adjustable, so if you strike the little orange thing in here, you can collapse it all the way or extend it up to there. Not a whole lot of adjustability, and even in the longest form, it's still like a Retaliator stock or shorter. However, Dart Zone is now standardizing this stock attachment point. So you can take the stock off of the Adventure Force Villainator and put it onto the Spectrum, just like with the Nerf blaster, switching the stock from blaster to blaster. I say again, this stock is not compatible with your Nerf stocks, and you cannot put your Nerf stocks on this blaster. But it's great to see that Dart Zone is now standardizing stocks. This Villainator stock is a little bit longer than the included Spectrum stock. So I like being able to flip out to a slightly longer stock, and I'd actually like it a little bit longer. So maybe in the future they will release a longer stock and I can pop it on this blaster, which is fantastic. Modular adjustability and the cross-compatible components are fantastic, very tactical, but also practical. That is an external overview of the Spectrum. Let's see it fire. Starting with the included Dart Zone waffle head darts. Faster. Tactical finger bang. Now shooting some blue Nerf Elite darts. Operating the Adventure Force Spectrum was fantastic. Buttery smooth trigger, extremely consistent launching trajectory out of the flywheels, super fast muzzle velocity, and I did not experience any jams and malfunctions. And this blaster does not have the same mechanical locks featured in a Stryfe, so you can finger bang this blaster out of the box, meaning you stick your finger in there and just wiggle around and you can spew foam. With the Stryfe, the trigger kind of seizes up unless you open it up and modify it. Out of the box, you can do that with the Spectrum. And you can also rev up the blaster without the magazine in the blaster. The Stryfe has an electronic sensor preventing you from doing that, but if you want to pre-rev as you're reloading, you can do that with a Spectrum. You have to modify the Stryfe to get that feature. You'd want to pre-rev if you're reloading while you're getting shot at, so as you're putting in a full magazine, you can actually rev up the blaster so the flywheels are at max RPM right when the magazine is inserted, compared to the Stryfe where you'd have to put the magazine in, hit the rev trigger, and then wait an additional 1 or 2 seconds to fire off your first round. It may be insignificant to you, but it really adds to the fit and finish. This feels like such a high-performance blaster in unmodified form. To compare the Spectrum to others, I put it up on my chronograph, and with the included Dart Zone darts, achieved an average velocity of 101 feet per second. Then I tested with Nerf Elite darts and achieved an average velocity of 98 feet per second, which is way over the 70 FPS par we should expect out of most blasters on the market right now. It's shooting like a modified blaster out of the box on store-bought alkaline batteries. So excellent firing performance even for a Dart Zone blaster. This is shooting hard. Most Dart Zone products shoot way harder than Nerf products, but this one is over 100 FPS. That's just incredible. And of course, if you want to hit what you're aiming at, totally buy the Dart Zone waffle head darts. I shot Nerf Elite darts just to sort of demonstrate why you should not be buying Nerf Elite darts under any circumstances. And heck, even if you don't want to buy a Dart Zone blaster, buy the Dart Zone waffle head darts and shoot them through your Stryfe. They perform way better than Elite darts. That is the objective information I can provide on the Adventure Force Spectrum. Now to my personal opinion. Overall, I am absolutely blown away by this blaster. This has got to be my new favorite unmodified dart firing blaster. The Stryfe has been dethroned, bro. 100 FPS out of the box without using IMRs, without using a LiPo, with store-bought alkalines. That's incredible. And the trigger pull is smooth. The launching of these darts is consistent. You can really hit what you're aiming at. It's almost as if you're using a rival blaster. I have been waiting for this blaster. I've been waiting for Dart Zone to make essentially an off-brand Stryfe. Flywheel-powered, semi-automatic, magazine-fed that's compatible with my existing Nerf mags. And this is everything plus more. It really feels like a modified blaster out of the box for the same price as a Stryfe. I personally won't be using this or this scope. And when you take that stuff off, it just transforms the appearance into something that looks more ordinary. And especially when you take off the included tiny stock and you add the compatible Villainator stock, this thing is just a beast right here. The things I love about it, breaking 100 FPS on chrono is excellent. You don't even need to modify it. The firing performance out of the Spectrum is phenomenal, but it's also cross-compatible with your existing Nerf mags, which for somebody like me is really important. I don't want to use proprietary magazines, and I personally don't really like external drums and cylinders. So overall, I'm extremely satisfied with the Adventure Force Spectrum. I do have a few gripes, you know me, I have to complain about everything. The magazine well has this weird groove right here, which looks cool and it is stylized, but when I was trying to reload quickly, I kept missing my reloads because it's a weird shape of a slot. It's just not as easy to speed reload this compared to a Stryfe or almost any Nerf brand blaster. It looks cool and I think I understand why they did it, but it just kind of interferes with performance just a little bit. In addition to that, the magazine well does slightly interfere with 18-round stick mags, which are my personal favorite mag. It does technically seat and it feeds just fine, but when you go to reload, it's not quite as smooth. And my last complaint would be the stock. It's just way too short to be usable for me. However, it is compatible with the Adventure Force Villainator stock, and I'd like to see more of these standardized stocks coming out of Dart Zone or Adventure Force. Just to clarify that, because I know it's totally confusing, this is an Adventure Force brand blaster, but it's made by Dart Zone. Dart Zone is the actual brand, but Adventure Force is the name that they slap on Walmart exclusive blasters. Not everything that says Adventure Force is made by Dart Zone when you go into Walmart. Keep that in mind. But I'd really like to see more stock options come out in future blasters, and I hope they keep the trend of letting everything be cross-compatible, which is just excellent. So that's a complaint, but not really, because the Villainator stock totally solves that problem for me. So my overall opinion on the Adventure Force Spectrum, incredibly positive. I love this blaster, bros. But how does it compare to the Stryfe? Because these are very similar. This is pretty much a Dart Zone Stryfe. So which one would I recommend you purchase? It sort of depends. If you're a modder, I would say buy whichever one feels better in your hands, because you're going to replace all the internals anyways. If I could choose between either of them modified, I would personally pick the Stryfe. And it has nothing to do with performance and everything to do with tactics. You know me, I love my tactics. I just like being able to put on the stock that fits my body perfectly, the barrel that's great, and it works better with 18-round stick mags, which are my go-to magazines. But that's if I'm allowed to mod. If I have to choose one of these without modification, I would without a doubt pick the Spectrum. It has totally dethroned the Stryfe, in my opinion, for an unmodified Nerf blaster. I love the Stryfe, you guys know that, and I hate to see it go. But for a stock war, This is just better in almost every way. The firing performance isn't even close, 100 FPS to 70 FPS. But beyond that, the trigger pull on this, the launch trajectory of the darts, this is just a superior performer compared to the Stryfe. And it doesn't have the trigger lock or the magazine lock, so you can pre-rev, as I mentioned, and you can tactically finger bang without modifying the blaster, which is pretty incredible. I need some sad music to see the Stryfe off, bro. I'll see you later, bro. I'll see you later, bro. The Adventure Force Spectrum is my new favorite stock class dart launching blaster on the market, and it comes with my absolute highest purchase recommendation. I'll definitely leave a link in the description box if you'd like to buy one of these. And if you like detachable box mags and you like flywheels, definitely buy one. Highly impressed with everything. I'm super excited to see what Dart Zone comes out with in the future. I'd love to see them add more stocks, and maybe they could engineer up some crazy high capacity magazine and sell it separately, because I don't think Nerf is ever going to do that. Seriously impressed with this blaster. Great engineering at a great price. There's value, there's performance. It just has everything if you're looking for a new primary. But hopefully I've laid out all the information for you to make an educated purchase decision on your own. If you're interested in purchasing a Spectrum, I'll put a purchase link in the description box below. That's it for this video review. Thanks so much for watching, bros, and as always, stay tactical.